All right, looks like we are all set up here for our next Young Scientist Challenge finalist. Give a warm welcome from Andover, Massachusetts, to Anna Du. How are you, Anna?
Great, how are you?
Good, you gave me the thumbs up earlier, so you're still feeling good?
Yep.
You're going to be awesome. Have fun, okay?
Thank you. Look at these animals. Do you feel their pain? Every year, 8 million metric tons of plastics are dumped into the ocean, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. The biggest problem are microplastics. Plastics are smaller than 5 millimeters. And as these plastics get into our ocean and break down through biological, physical, and chemical forces, they and their byproducts end up in our food chain and eventually our plates. Through biomagnification, this affects the entire ecosystem. In the last decade, the amount of plastics produced is equivalent to the rest of plastics created in history. And as plastics break down, their surface area increases along with their reactivity, causing them to bind with other toxic substances. And as the amount of plastic production has increased, so has the amount of deadly diseases. However, we can't just stop using plastics. We've already become dependent on it for critical needs, such as medicine, energy, transportation, and more. Because of that, people have decided to start cleaning it up. However, their solutions are mostly passive and focused on floating plastics. Due to the sheer size of the ocean, this would be incredibly difficult, not to mention impossible with microplastics, due to their unknown distribution, their sizes, and densities. My approach is using a unique mathematical algorithm combining infrared spectroscopy and an image processing system to look for microplastics under the ocean. This makes them more active, efficient, and economical. Empirically, we know that nature always manages to find a way to sort itself. Just look at the layers on this beach. Also, when you're mining for gold in rivers, you'll find that the gold always appears in places with the lowest turbidity. The solution I developed is comprised of two separate subsystems, the detection and the navigation system. And this makes it a unique, low-cost approach to identifying plastics. This is Jason and the original Nereid. And these two ROVs both gave me a lot of inspiration for creating my own. That's why I named my ROV the Nereid Junior. And my ROV is created using 3M adhesive and includes an energy-efficient 12-volt propulsion system, a cost-effective infrared LED system, along with an image processing software that analyzes data. It also includes an accelerometer gyroscope to make it level. It has also evolved over time, and after testing it, I've changed the shape to improve the maneuverability and made the control box sturdier. This is the schematics of my entire system, and this is the accelerometer gyroscope at work. My detection system is comprised of 3 separate subsystems created using the scientific principles of spectroscopy and using OpenCV and Python. The color mapping system visualizes the differences in infrared absorption in plastics versus other particles. And I built my own infrared camera and circuit using 3M films and adhesives and put them on top of emulated microplastics. Then I took these pictures and combined them together after normalizing them in order to create this color map. I also tried to find the optimum pixel average for finding the values of the plastics. And then after normalization, the picture showed a very clear difference between plastics and other particles. And this year, I've been mostly focusing on the visible to the near-infrared spectrum. And in the future, I plan on going deeper into the infrared spectrum with an indium gallium arsenide chip, which is sensitive to those particular wavelengths. I chose to use my current system because this is more scalable, as it only needs a first-order approach to identifying plastics. The unnatural color detection system also looks at the colors that would not appear in your local marine environments, but would indicate a possible synthetic dye. This is a sample petri dish, and my program masks the untargeted colors and then shows the targeted ones. The morphology classifier adds one additional layer of accuracy by looking at the common shapes of microplastics, such as beads or fibers. As you can see, even though each of these systems alone might not necessarily have a very high accuracy, but when combined, they show an overall accuracy of above 85%. This makes it a good first-order identification for looking at plastics. In order to verify all of my systems, I've used a fluorescent microscope along with ultraviolet in order to see where the plastics are. In the future, I plan on revamping my current system, along with combining it with artificial intelligence to be able to predict where the microplastics will be, and swarming technology to cover even more of the ocean. And while we all need to do our part in reducing the harmful effects of plastic pollution in the future, we need to start the cleanup process today. And we need to do it in a smart way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. That was great. So once your ROV and your IR system identify plastics, do you have any idea how those plastics are going to be removed?
Well, first, as I said in my slides, nature always manages to find a way to sort itself, right? So I think that this will also apply to microplastics as well. So I will put multiple sensors on my ROV, such as for pH, salinity, density, and more. In this way, I can create a spatial map of exactly where the microplastics are accumulating on the ocean floor. So that makes the cleanup process more efficient. And then anybody who has an idea for cleaning up plastics can easily integrate it with my system.
Thank you, Anna. That was amazing. I was wondering what the challenges were for taking a spectroscopy instrument like an IR and then putting it in the water. So what challenges did you face to make something that has electronic components work when it's underwater?
Well, first of all, when you're saying like spectroscopic equipment, that's exactly what I was trying to avoid with my project, because a normal commercial spectroscope costs $50,000. That does not make a scalable machine at all. So instead, I used multiple infrared wavelengths and created this circuit. And this makes it a lot more cost effective.
Is that inside the part that goes in the water?
Yeah, normally this would be right here.
So what challenges did you have once you put everything in the water? What did you have to think about?
Well, for instance, in the beginning, my control box was just a couple of pieces of cardboard taped together. And when I was testing it in the water, it started raining like crazy. And that completely ruined a lot of my systems. So that's why I remade it to make it waterproof.
Thanks. This is really neat work. I'm going to follow up on Dell's question as well. So things like algae and barnacles and corrosion are some aspects that might make this difficult to work for many months underwater. Do you have any thoughts on how to make it robust for many months?
Yeah, so PVC is a very strong plastic. It's even used in plumbing, so it should probably last for a lot of years. And even if this system fails, I'm planning on having a recovery system for after it realizes that the navigation system and things like that have failed, then it'll automatically float to the top of the ocean so that people will be able to find where the ROV is and then be able to clean it up without causing any additional pollution.
Anna, this is a great project. I was wondering if you have any information on the distance that your ROV needs to be from the target area to accurately measure, and also how deep within the ocean it can go.
Well, currently my ROV has a tether of 25 feet, but in the future I'm planning on extending this and making it untethered at all by creating an autonomous underwater vehicle. So this way it can go through all around the ocean.
What other applications could the ROV be used for?
So when you're creating plastic products, you need your plastics to be small and sorted, right? And this is why the ocean is a great resource for that, because all the plastics are already there, and they're already microplastics, and they're already in bead-like shapes. And so this is the perfect material for creating other plastic products. And also, in 2050, there will be more plastics than fish in the ocean. And so that's why the health insurance companies could possibly go bankrupt because of this. And that's why it would make more sense if they start investing money in operations like these to clean up plastics. And finally, when you're using other techniques like mining for different types of metals, you could also use this sort of techniques to look for those metals.
So you mentioned that you could possibly pair up with someone who would actually do the cleanup. What strategies would you use to attract a collaborator, a partner in that action?
Well, because my ROV is already very able to identify plastics, and then with a little bit more refining, and as I said, when I add the artificial intelligence and the swarming technology, then it would be able to identify plastics very quickly. So even I could come up with some idea for this, or any other of the creative minds out there. And then when they integrate it with my systems, it'll be very efficient when cleaning up plastics. Thank you.
How you feeling?
Good.
Your passion comes through. That was really, really good. And I bet to your question about collaboration, I bet you anybody in here would invest in you. So great job. Another round of applause. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.